We are missing a player from Cerberus coming into the final one. Dockmeyer is out, so Lolsey is in. We're going to see how that's going to impact things as we head on over to the first match of the final day of the PGS2 Grand Finals over on to Miramar.
If you need a way to try to make something work, this plane path is going to provide it. Starting off over Valdemar, ending up around that Azahar location, so not too crazy. Everybody can pretty much get to anything. We haven't seen anybody go in that Cantera or over into Oasis. I mean, Miramar provides enough for these players to work around without having to go that far to the edge.
Yeah, and we also haven't really seen too much commotion in the early game, in particular in the Grand Finals, so everything should be all right. But you never know. I mean, last day of the tournament, jitters can force crazy things to happen. We've seen it in the past, but we'll wait and see with this plane path coming through if anything happens. I doubt it, but of course, you can never be sure.
I mean, we've been seeing so much of a southern lean in these circles, too. Multiple times we've been dancing around Los Leones. We've had a lot of water in Miramar circles, which has been kind of wild. I got baited a couple times for the idea of even getting an island circle. So with this plane path, it is a bit more southern inlay. We might see a repeat of some of those locations popping up yet again.
We might as well has been southern for the most part. We'll see in just 30 seconds time what's going to happen. And even with that, you know what? I think now would be a phenomenal time to do one thing, Matra. With everyone flying on out, getting their vehicles, getting things going, because we do have a person sat here in between us who I'm very excited to introduce. Once again, we heard from him just a little second ago, but hello, Wacky Jackie. How are you doing today?
What's up, guys? Nice to be here.
I'm waiting to see. We got to get him talking whenever the circle pops to find out if he can curse circles like the rest of us can.
He might just be able to. He gets it now. So let's see this one. We've seen it a couple of times already, haven't we?
Yeah. I know that there is a lot of talk to be had around a circle like this, but we've been talking about specifically the southern locations. And whenever you get a circle like this, Jack, what are you looking for to navigate it? Because I know you've been watching a lot of the competitive play. You've been very impressed with some of the styles that have been coming out from this. Like, what are the ideas that you're looking at whenever you see what you want to see some of these players?
Yeah, when I see this circle, I think, well, that is very highly elevated. That's going to be difficult for a glider.
True.
We did see a glider in this event,
True. Now, we were talking about just before how, of course, this tournament, not only is it phenomenal for the sake of it being global PUBG, but there's been so many new things added to the tournament. Tago is in now. Yeah. We're seeing Mortars. We're seeing Panzerfaust. Things that I know that maybe you, Wag, have gotten a little more used to than some of these players. How have you experienced? One thing is what you do, and I mean when you play on a daily basis, but how has it been for you seeing some of these pro players use, emergency pickups, Panzerfaust, Mortars, all this stuff?
I think it's been really, really fun. And from the crowd perspective, there was a massive roar of excitement yesterday when we saw a double kill with the Panzerfaust. So even though it brings a lot of challenges and it's tough to adapt to as a player, I imagine, it's really fun for the audience. I can tell that at least.
It sure is. It sure is. I've for the few times we've been off as well, sitting there watching it, it's been phenomenal. Whether it be Panzerfaust or Mortars, has been really, really entertaining.
And one of my favorite moves that I've learned from this is actually when the team send one player up with an emergency pickup just to scout for the team.
Yeah.
I think that's a really cool move. I learned that here the first time.
And another thing as well that I did not think was going to have as big of an impact in competitive play as it has are the deployable shields. How many times have we seen them just sit in the middle of the open and go, nope, wall, I need to protect myself because these guys are hitting every shot.
And I mean, it's just been a considerable amount of innovation, specifically on games like in Erangel, right? Whenever let's be honest, Erangel can be a bit open in some of the sections for it, specifically with the circles we've been getting. So just having something like the deployable shields means the fact that at least you have a secondary option, or do that door reinforcement that we've been seeing that's becoming a lot more meta.
Now, Waggy, you, of course, have a ton of people that watch your channel that might not be too familiar with competitive PUBG. So for you as a viewer, what would you say is the biggest difference, like how do you approach watching a tournament like this differently than what you would watching, your various streamers on streaming platforms?
I think the biggest difference is that the enemies are so good. Like, everybody here is insanely good. And yeah, it's
Babsang head died. It's what happens. It's what happens.
But yeah, like that is really the biggest thing, because when you're watching often you're watching a streamer, they're not always playing against equally skilled opponents, but these guys, they are. So it's a completely different way that they're peeking, that they're moving around, and it's just really hard to get a lot of kills here.
And
a lot more stressful of an opening game, right? No real big hot drops, not a lot of like deaths coming out early. You're moving into like these mid-game circles with so many more players. With that aim, it makes rotations just crazy to watch. Like, has that been one of the things that you've been kind of keeping an eye on? Is like, okay, what are some, like, that's one of the things I take back into my games is the pathing options that these players seem to come up with.
Yeah. Sometimes you look at a team, they're way out of the circle. Like, this is a good example, and like you're thinking, how on earth are they going to go to a good position in this circle without dying?
Mm-hmm.
Now, is there anything, I mean, you mentioned the emergency pickups with one person flying up and scouting. Is there anything else you've seen in tournaments as we get the replay here? Bouncing head, just rotating, you know, these things are bound to happen every now and again. Is there anything in particular that when you watch a tournament you see and try to kind of bring back to your own games that you play?
Well, I think one thing would be the way these guys are shooting DMRs. It's just so fast, so controlled, and it's definitely something I can improve at, to be honest. And also, I like the way I'm seeing them use the shotguns for the close quarters. I know a lot of people think they're overpowered, which, you know, they are in those situations, but I like seeing it there. I think it's fun. It's very exciting.
I mean, it's one of those where if the shotgun wasn't good in that situation, then why would you have a shotgun
why would you
at
have
all?
it in
It's
the
the
first
only place it can actually function. As we see, of course, question mark here, trying to rotate down towards that southern side. We know there's a lot of these, teams spot in the open too, a lot of these bottleneck situations where you have to stop, you have to scout, and yet teams go, but if we don't stop and scout, we might beat some teams to it, and they're the ones that get caught off guard. Teams here as well, stopped, trying to look further towards the south, and gets caught off guard.
There are so many different moving factors that we're looking at in the circle. Most notably, you can see that the lean away from Los Leones into the high ground and information gathering stage. It's one of the things that I'm always impressed at, and I love to see specifically how quickly the high ground positions are navigated for this, not just necessarily for the harassment or anything else like that. The DMRs you're talking about being a big factor, but more just to make sure that they can secure enough information to allow those rotations, because as you were talking about beforehand, things like the emergency pickup, we're seeing consistent more innovation and information gathering in the earlier stages, which is leading to so much like more of a, I guess, a violent circle 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah. That's true. And one of the things as well is like how the teams are able to maximize the bad situations. That's really one thing that impressed me as well. Is sometimes you could just see a team, they know they're gonna be gone. The zone is coming, they cannot get out, but still they're finding a way to just get some extra kills for those extra points.
I want to ask you real quickly before we continue with the game here, Waggy. If you had the power, I'm not saying that you do, but if you had the power to decide where one game ended today, whether it be in Miramar take on Erangel, if you could decide one ending, where would it be? What's your favorite ending area of all the 3 maps?
Unsurprisingly, probably Miramar Island Circle.
Oh man,
Well,
let's go.
Every time we mention the island circles, that can't happen.
No, I'm sorry about that.
Sorry, everyone out there, Waggy. Yep, it's not bound to happen, unfortunately. It's I've tried so many times, it still doesn't work for me.
I'm gonna give you a chance to call your shot. I'm giving you 3 teams. We can see that there's at least a pretty decent spread up at the top of the leaderboard. Who's your 3 that you're saying going to walk away at the top? Or you think they're at least going to get number 1?
I'm going to call Sonics for number 1. I'm going to say Navi second and Twisted Mind third.
Okay, it's going to be a Navi type of day, I suppose. Yeah, I like it.
Hey, after PGC, strong choice. I'm not going to argue it.
Not bad at all. Question mark here. Wishing they got the Waggy blessing. We'll see if they can make things happen without it. Danawa, same story to be said as they're maneuvering their way through Los Leones. So the spearhead here, he has no clue, I think, that Silson is sat just over on the other side. When you, Waggy, go into some of these up-close fights in your matches too, like what any sort of advice you would want to give to the viewers out there as we see Soul try and push on in?
Yeah, like don't do it unless you really have to.
Truth.
Yeah.
Or you have like a Panzerfaust or a shotgun, basically.
And right now we can see that Loki at least has neither. Maybe they're scouting the bottom floor here to try and find one Silson. Of course, hearing all these footsteps up high, will be sat here waiting, not in position of neither a Panzerfaust or a shotgun either. But now, in a short moment, he should be hearing and seeing people downstairs. But I don't think he's going to move a muscle until these 2 Danawa players come upstairs.
Oh, just waiting for them to make the curve around. He's already spotted it. AR's going to come out, hit Loki. He's going to get the knock on 1. Loki's going to go for the peek back up to the top. Goes for the spray. Doesn't get the knock on a Silson. Silson does have the nade prepped, and Loki just has to step away. These tight corridors on these stairways can just be a death trap, as we just saw.
Sure can. Has to back off now as well, as I like the smoke deploy that's going to give both Silson time to hopefully get some teammates nearby, but unluckily for him, it's also going to allow for Danoa to regroup. Silson, though, jumps off. Xiaowu spots him from afar. This is to go back to what you were saying just before, where with how much these teams are just able to instantly like jump on any opportunity they get to get a kill.
Yeah, this is a scary place to play for sure against these guys.
Especially when it's this early in the game too, right? Oh, Silson tried to get in the door. Not gonna happen.
Door stuck!
And
Onyx
pop up my head able to find him.
Yeah, nice angle.
That's another thing. I mean, when you play, one thing is your casual play. But when you play competitive, like we see here, at no point can you feel safe. There's always someone somewhere that's gonna find that off angle and take you out. So no one's gonna sit around. But oh my lord, that is a Southern hard shift to start off the final day. The championship Sunday, and Forest just got one for themselves.
And I also want to point out, Falcons didn't even make a move to come after Silson. They realized that he was just pretty much done, couldn't do anything with it, so just left him alone.
Now we see Sonics try to make their way on down here. Any last sayers of praise you want to say to the Sonics fans out there before we let you go, Waggy?
Yeah, well, I'm sitting right next to some of them in the audience. They're very passionate. Someone has traveled all the way from the United States to Riyadh, and that's quite a passion right there.
So there you go. Thank you so much, Waggy, for joining us here today. And for the Sonics fans out there, let's see the emotes in the chat. And on behalf of Waggy and the blessing he's brought, hopefully they can bring this one home.
Now we're going to start doing you guys a quick recap. Up into the northeast, we've got ourselves a death funnel that's going to be brewing up. It's going to be Tyloo as well as FaZe trying to make a pathing over here. We just had Na'Vi make that run by everything. So it looks like they're just trying to go for that center position. We have also the Expendables that were running a bit of a split to try to secure some of this territory around them. Na'Vi, also Twisted Minds, hopping in, using an emergency pickup, trying to bypass all of this mess.
The rotation down here to the south is so incredibly hard. When you have Los Leones up in the very center top of it, all these teams are forced to wrap around. Then you have the water on the east as well. These funnels are becoming small bottlenecks that are going to force teams to run into each other. We're seeing it here with Expendables, Team Falcons as well, both of whom have taken casualties already. Tanmu with 777 getting away on a bike successfully, luckily at that.
This is a very strong position for Falcons to have inside the circle. You're going to get a lot of the high ground advantage, a lot of information. Specifically, they have Danoa that's right down below them as well, that's going to provide a secondary firing line and some protection from now. Everybody has extricated themselves out of Los Leones and moved into the southern hillside. Again, there is enough for most of our teams to kind of navigate in, get some dips. It's just a matter of, can you bypass the gauntlet of teams that are playing into that northeastern area?
Exactly. Circle Center is fully occupied at this point, as we still have both 4 AM, Third on 5, and Game PT yet to make their way into the circle. No one is inside Los Leones proper, so there is real estate available up there, but down towards the middle, it is very, very occupied.
Nobody wants that Los Leones right now, as it is. If you commit into that in this stage, you have to assume those high ground players and teams that are already set up, most notably in 17, and Danoa will just pick you absolutely apart. T5 making their rotation right along that very eastern road. They're going to be coming in from El Puerto. FaZe not even in a position to really harass them too much, so they should be able to sneak in.
Yeah, I like how FaZe is positioned very similar fashion to Tyloo, just waiting for any one team to fill in behind them. And I guess it's, I mean, sure, it's unlucky for them that no one comes so they can get a couple of kills. Issue is for FaZe, they've already lost Jeem, so maybe actually not the worst situation for them to now be confirmed in the fact that, well, there's no one here.
Line in pretty much 4 angry men, we do want to point out, has managed to put their backs up against the coast. Remember, with a bit of what we were seeing earlier, FaZe had a problem, lost one of their members. They are going to be pretty close to that Na'Vi line, but it is going to be Gustav and Corexi that are going to line into this, leaving Fex behind to make sure to control behind them.
They saw the emergency pickup deployed by Melman. They're going to wait for the plane to sweep on over and just start shooting as soon as the Na'Vi players take to the sky. There you see Corexi's already seen the plane coming in. He's sending his Na'Vi or his FaZe clan troops up close to try and prepare for the ambush.
You want to get there right before. You want to make sure that you're shooting down right on where that's at whenever they're locked into that position. Nade's now starting to come out. You can see they're trying to catch him. I don't think that it's going to roll far enough, and they can't get in position. Yoink goes multiple members, leaving one behind to try to protect. Here comes the roll-up, though. FaZe just doesn't get the time to execute the way that they want to, and now already retreating.
Nice attempt. Great setup. Unluckily, a little off with those nades there, but really, really, really smart counterplay attempt to try and deny Na'Vi the getaway. Now, the 3 Na'Vi players did manage to get away. It's a circle went further south. Issue is there's, as I said before, pretty much nothing to claim in this area of the map.
Oh, this is a problem. We can see Na'Vi is going to be landing right at the same time. That's going to be the Expendables. We're trying to make their move in. Falcons as well. They are landing into a very hot zone. They do find themselves the capability of making some type of landing. Mel does get lost inside of this mix-up. Cerberus going to be just to the south of this, but Falcons just pushing directly in right up on top of this Na'Vi positional.
Just nowhere for them to go. Since all the teams here were already sat so comfortably, it was so easy for them to just pick them out of the sky. It's just Uber left alive now as Falcons start making their way down this direction too.
We do still have Ayla that's back behind this one. Remember, he did kind of get left behind as an anchor position, so no reinforcement. Either one of those members go down, that's their life. They are done.
Yep, definitely. Azuba, oh, the timing just a bit off there. Falcons, Capitan able to wrap on over. Probably heard the nade pulled as well. Knew that that's the perfect timing to go for the aggressive play. So kudos to him for making a smart one there against Uba, who with one more Na'Vi player down now, as Himas actually is the one to steal it. It's just not looking good for Na'Vi off of game one.
Yeah, Twisted Minds also holding back the last remaining member, so that's going to be some trouble up to the north. We also do have a bit of a dust-up going on between Danawa and Tai Lu, as they're now leaving those high ground positions and getting pretty close to each other. This centered fight kind of calming down a bit more. I do want to point out that one of Tai Lu members is staying pretty far back into the north, as FaZe looks like they're also going to go for a much wider wrap around all of this.
And this is where this circle is so interesting, because you pretty much have one big valley, one big ravine down the middle where you have Falcons and Cerberus, and it just splits the two sides up so easily. So you have all the teams clustered out east. You have a little more space towards the west, but that's more open fields. Ali have found that's Na'Vi out in 15th. Of course, not what they would have wanted coming into match number one here, but they got to shake it off and get ready for the next match to come.
As you can see, FaZe is going to send it right into that line where Twisted Minds is going to be at, but they're going to be able to navigate it pretty clean. They are taking some damage right now. Still sitting at that 3 members, so Feck's going to be leading the charge for the squad. They should find themselves a dip just to the kind of west of this position, so looks like that's not going to be too bad. The Danawa fight still going on pretty strong, as it looks like it is going to be Danawa just kind of destroying Tai Lu from this position.
I'm liking the timing of this Danawa push. They know that they have to make a play before Gen G, before FaZe, or before even Game PT out from the northeast side in the blue do anything about it. There's only so much time to maneuver, and the time glass is running out of sand. So Danawa forced to make an aggressive play. Issue is now Salute has fallen down, but instantly in return though, so finds one, finds the double as well, and there's the third. No, not gonna happen. Longs in return finds a double of his own.
A lot of death and destruction based around that blue zone, but Longs is going to be down here. You can see it's going to be PO, Gen G taking some shots in, and Nonix nowhere near the rest of his members. He was trying to go for a flanked position. You can see him at range. He might be able to spot out Longs, but that came at a massive cost. Neither team walking away from that one clean.
Exactly. Gen G, the only victors of that fight, because they just get to come in and claim all the points for themselves. And Na'Vi now, again, trying to spread out here, trying to get some more control. Twisted Minds know exactly where they have him, and they want to make a play now. If you isolate all of FaZe Clan into one small ball, you don't really get a better chance of taking them out.
Twisted Minds looking down into FaZe right now. They've got to make sure that they clean this up quickly. We do have, if you mind, Game PT that's going to be rotating into this position pretty close. They might hear this firefight and go for a stop, or they can choose to rotate. Don't forget about Gen G just over to the west of it as well. That means that every single one of these peaks coming out from Twisted Minds, they have got to be careful with that range. Now you can see it is going to be, if you mind, rolling right up next to Perfectix. This is opening up an opportunity for FaZe to now push up this hillside. Flanks coming in all over the place, but it is going to be Twisted Minds that holds it together.
I guess Game PT just figured here, if we don't shoot at them, maybe they won't shoot at us, but that is not how Championship Sunday PUBG works, my friend. You can't just drive on through and hope that no one notices you. Game PT down and out they go, as this fight between FaZe and Twisted Minds stalls, at least for a little moment, but here comes Gen G, peeking on over his PO, and he finds Fex.
Yeah, and that's just going to set up a terrible situation for FaZe. You can see they've just been bouncing around in these smokes, so a lot of utility already burned. The circle did shift down to the southwest from here, so this is not even a safe environment to be fighting in for too much longer. You can see FaZe, most of their vehicles gone, if not all of them at this stage, and just an unrelenting Twisted Minds, realizing the fact there are vultures right now, realizing that there are some points to be had, and they do not want to let FaZe make another move.
Exactly, they have to get inside the circle too. Now Perfectix knocked from Corexi. Huge knocks coming through here as they try to buy themselves some more time, some more space to try and maneuver on forward. Perfectix should get rest, you'd imagine. That should allow for FaZe to go onto Fex as well. But Petulans off angle towards that northeastern side as FaZe 4 starts closing on in.
Taking the shots in now revealed. Nade range definitely close enough. Blue zone is going to be coming in. We're still in that phase 4 position, so it's going to start getting a bit tingly for these players to have to deal with. The Tulin's going to go down, as it is going to be Gustav playing that angle back behind that. Gets the knock in. Twisted Minds can't make a move, and this is starting to stall them out. This is becoming a big problem for Twisted Minds.
It sure is, and everyone else is clapping their hands. I was just going to say, but no! Finally, the fight does come to a close. Issue is Twisted Minds has already taken casualties.
And now they have to move in. Falcons are already going to be waiting. DraftKings gets the knock on a Spyro. Jinji is going to be swooping in from that western position as well. Full on gatekeep's just going to be locked in right now. This is a massive problem. While this is happening as well, 4 Angry Men are making an aggressive move into T5, and they're both being kept out by Question Mark.
Sure are. 3rd on 5 will be eliminated as 4 AM alongside Question Mark deal with the threat towards the southeast. Now Falcons, the next team on approach, trying to take the fight to Genji. Here's DraftKings first one to fall, and Longs from the blue. I mean, he's just cleaning up. He's found 2 already. And again, it's not going to be a good game for Tai Lu, but converting a 0-point game just give them something going. Could potentially be a win con for you.
This is also another quiet game for Sonics down in that southwest. They just keep finding that angle. Nobody else is wrapping in there, so they're inside the safe zone already. Jinji continuing their sweep down onto the Falcons, gets the spray, and Falcons are going to get eliminated, and now they have a path into the circle.
Yeah, we knew the edges were going to be on fire, but the fire that's been lit here has been absolutely insane. Now, more space is available, but teams have still yet to make their way into the new circle. 4 AM has to make a play. 17 from the west as well. Need to try and find a way. Need to try and maneuver past some of these teams. And once again, I mean, going off of Sonic's win on day 1, this is a very similar position. South side control for Sonics. They're not playing aggressive, they're playing it slow, but they're getting so much space with every single circle going their way.
These Southwestern Raps have just been very, very strong for them, and repeated victories coming out of it. They do need to be careful, because this does mean that they're kind of stuck in a Chinese sandwich right now. If you look at it, they're going to have 4 Angry Men coming in from the south, where they have one of their duos, and the other duo playing over into that west. Looks like they're going to have to contend in with 17 Gaming, because let's be honest, 17 Gaming does not want to go after those sprinklers.
No.
They want to play that hillside. They want to push down on that compound.
I don't think there's either of the 2 Chinese teams trying to really make an aggressive play onto Sonics right now. Having said that, though, of course, if they do, I mean, if 17 does read that Sonics are sat in the 2-2 split, they might just full-on ambush down towards where Shrimsy and H-Win are currently positioned. But back towards 4 AM we go, as this fight does finally come through.
It's going to be 17 Gaming making that push we were talking about just 1 moment ago. Nade's going to be prepped out. The duo trying to hold strong, getting multiple knocks out of it. 3 members, though, see if maybe they can find a pathing around. It's going to see how 17 Gaming can try to navigate this one up. Nade's going to be coming out, but reinforcements now coming in. The other duo, 4 Sonics, gets on the leave position out away from 4 Angry Men, who shifted to the east.
Yep, trying to wrap around from the southern side is Mime and Tiggleton, trying to set all the way around, fully engulfing the teams in between them. Sushu now realizing, I would imagine, that he's getting caught in the open as the peak comes over from the backside. This should have Sonics written all over it. I'm liking the off-angle assistance push over the top, but Xiao Wu with a nade that could potentially turn things around.
2 members, 17 Gaming now back to back. They're surrounded by Sonics members, and they have to make sure that they secure this one. Seeing if maybe they can just play up against this wall, use it for some type of safety. You can see they are leaning into the side of the building that has no windows to avoid any sight lines, any angles coming out of it. Forrest, though, has stepped down from their more northern position and is harassing this fight, making it a lot more complicated for Sonics to go for any of these peaks. And with that, 17 Gaming has managed to make it into the building.
Yep, sat tight, gonna be waiting this one out. Forrest, the overhead threat from up north, is going to potentially take shots down towards him in just a moment, and exactly that. Shrimsy shot at Tiggleton is still yet to make the run. Try and get back down towards the compound. It would be amazing for them to fortify, to group up, as 4 AM are eliminated by Cerberus towards the southeast.
And that is a impactful firefight for Cerberus. This puts them much closer into that range. Look at how on the leaderboard, just 5 kills can push them up so much further from where they're at. Sonics have shifted to more of an outside defended position as the circle has gone up into the northeast. Question Mark and Jinji going to be bumping into each other while this is going on. Most notably, it's going to be PO that's trying to make something happen, but he is going to get spotted out and eliminated.
Yep, this fight keeps going up and then stalling again. And in the meantime, the entire east gets blown to pieces. So more space now to be had out east as Question Mark does come out victorious against Gen G. And now for Forest Gaming, 2 kills so far. Again, haven't had to aggress too much and don't want to do it either. Very smart play stuff from them being executed here as well. No need to over-aggress. We have the circle. If we can get kills down here, sure, that's great. But for now, let's just sit on the edge here and wait for this one to pop off.
Sonics have had to lean into more of a southern defense due to Forest positioning, and now Forest has sent 3 members over here. They know we can pick up kill points and whatever happens out of this, because these squads are going to be walking out weakened. 17 Gaming, they're in no rush to get out of this position. They realize if they have to leave, they're going to die probably at the hands of one of these 2 squads that are right up on top of them. So one of the best things that they can do is just hold out for as long as possible and make it messy for Sonics, because maybe they can use that chaos, they can use the multiple targets that Forest is going to have to try to deal with to sneak past everything that's going on.
Question becomes now when or even how does Cerberus potentially interfere with Forest Gaming? Because if Cerberus can claim control on that northern side too, they're going to be in a very, very good position. Thing is, they've been seen already. Haisaki on approach, instantly shot up by Scabby.
Yeah, I like what Haisaki was trying to do here, but I don't think that there's just too many numbers coming up for Forest off of it, and there's not enough cover for him to navigate this too cleanly. That opens up more of a corridor for anything question mark in the east.
The thing is, for him, he doesn't have to do much. I mean, even if he's running back down now, Scabby might not see that, and they have to constantly play with the information that there's one nearby. Whatever we do, as long as we start shooting in the opposite direction, he could pop off at any time and shoot us in the back. So pressure is now going to be applied on to Forest Gaming. But now 17 Gaming in the blue, trying to lift this one out, but Sonic seems like they do not want to let them go anywhere.
This is just a strong angle to hold on to this building. You can see Tig going for a peek here or there. 17 Gaming hoping to get a knock, but it's just not going to be Sonics revealing themselves enough. This is still being a problem, as now it is going to be Himas that does spot out Tiggleton, taking some shots into his backside. The blue zone death, this is just more a, we're going to take you down with us. Mutually assured destruction strategy coming out from 17 Gaming. They get the shots onto Tig. Only thing they're wanting to do is just drag them back down the leaderboard with them.
Exactly. A little worrying for Sonics. Thought they were going to play this one more with moving in with blue, but Tiggleton does get knocked. We'll see if they can get him rest on up. Nope, not going to happen. He falls down to the blue there. H went down to half HP as well, as Master has crept up incredibly close to. 17 will fall in the end. There's now Cerberus towards the southeast side. This should be a semi-final about to happen potentially for this match. As Cerberus and question mark on one side will square off against Sonics and Forest on the other. But do not forget about Longs, the solo from Tyloo.
I think at this point we just have to say there is some type of rivalry that is fully developed between Sonics and 17 Gaming. Not even wanting to give over a point, even though there is the point differential. Mikado still lives on in their hearts. Pachinki, they're still fighting for it. Doesn't matter any part of the map at this stage. Is now Sonics have to fight their way through Forest. Monto with some good angles onto this one. Let's not forget, Cerberus still can see a good section of this hillside.
Thing is, Master sat just on the other side of this ridge, and I don't think Sonics has any clue whatsoever. They think Munto is the closest threat, and maybe these shots coming through from Cerberus is actually helping Sonics a bit in the fact that that means they're going to play a little slower. Issue is, Himas has a good angle. Shrimsy, though, able to get back down behind that wrist just in time.
Those couple of shots can spell doom, as Master is just a few meters away from Sonics right now, just being patient with everything. Shrimsy got that angle into Munto, but you can see Forest just slow defending this. They realize we've got everything that we want in this. Let Sonics have to make the aggressive play into it. They're going to walk right up into it. Master now revealed himself. H-Win the last one up, trying to get something. Morales does get the knock onto it. Got to be careful as he's looking up this hillside, already taking so much damage. The smoke's going to be coming up right back behind him. Blue zone forcing him to move slowly and steadily further and further into Forest grip.
Whenever issues have come in the direction of Sonics this tournament, it's been H-Win to be the one to claim points their way. He will fall here in the end, and so will Longs. Try to do damage on the northern side, and maybe this is going to allow for Cerberus to try and run up and punish question mark towards that northeast.
Here we go. We've got a circle with just a road running right through the thick of it. You can see it's a valley on top of that, a no man's land of death. And a lot of these squads have had to use a good section of their utility. You can still see sitting on some smokes, but when you're having to walk in the open, you got to have a ton to make it work.
And again, we said it coming into today's tournament, Dokmai is out, so Lolsi is in. What a way to kick things off here on the final day of the championship with a new player in, if you could potentially come out and win the very first match.
Cerberus making the shift into question mark's line. They realize that this is what they need to deal with first. They are assaulting this high ground position, though. Solzy going to be the one that's kind of forcing this right up into the thick of it, but let's not forget about Tycon. On that side angle can make something big. Forest, though, with the firefight that's been going on over there, they're actually going to send Olympus in. See if maybe he can pick up a couple of kills out of this, but I think that Dante has read it and is very, very close to his position.
Yep, sneaking up close, but he has no clue what's about to hit him. Dante is just on the other side. Olympus has zero clue. There's one right next to him, and that should be him down guaranteed. Question mark, able to live with the scare of what could have been Olympus, potentially finding a couple of knocks there.
Cerberus was playing much more in the east of this hillside, so they didn't know exactly what was going going on. Cerberus, with this reposition, now seeing one of the members come out, close range firefight, it means the fact that they have to be much more hesitant of this hillside. They don't know if maybe Forrest is already trying to make a push over here, and you can see that's what Forrest is now eyeing.
Exactly.
They're saying if maybe they can get on that side of the hill and just kind of defend it up, because that will give them control, yes, of the west, but also in the east. And Cerberus has to try to defend this, but remember, they moved aggressively into question mark a second ago.
Cerberus are going to play this one slow, but for Forest, I think they just got exactly what they wanted. Make sure there's no one on their side of the road. That's fully confirmed. Now, only issue is they lost a player in trying to find that out. So they can play it slow down the hill, but they're running out of cover. The ridgeline on the western side is very hard to maneuver, especially when you have the likes of Question Mark and Cerberus still in circles, still in a position from where they can take shots towards the west.
A united front between Question Minds and Cerberus, just making sure that Forrest doesn't make that any type of rotation. And you have to notice that Forrest also has the recess in the hillside. They're going to be walking down into the open as this closes out. They are praying that this fight in the east is as messy as possible to make up for anything that they're about to have to deal with. But yes, you can see Cerberus still making sure to fend up that line right up next to Question Mark, as all three of the members are near on stacked on top of each other. One big nade can destroy it all, and that's going to walk right into a doozy, though.
Few missed bullets there for him. That's not something you see too often, but a good spell disaster for the team. Tycon, though, instantly there to respond. The duo from the team is really good, really holding them off as Question Mark lose another.
Got to be careful as they're just bouncing around through these smokes. It's already going to cost, and yes, Forrest now using this running down the hillside. They are going to lose one. Too many targets for Cerberus to try to contend in with. Is Question Mark going to try to make something happen up in the north? They're going to get eliminated. Cerberus backs against the blue zone are finding the angles, though, as it's going to be Forrest walking down. Now just one member up.
Yep, Scabby, single player trying to do this 1v3 against Cerberus. Came in to stay already down the leaderboard, and knowing that they had to swap out a player on the final day is never what you want to have happen, but here he is. So Lolsey, the guy to come in and potentially save the day for the team as Cerberus rigs up at point number 11. If they get things going here, yes, they might be set in 7th now, but there's no telling where they might finish once this day is over.
Scrappy, Scabby, can you make something happen? Tycon on the other line gets the knock onto one of them. Tycon has got to be careful. That hillside putting in some big work for Scabby to try to navigate, but two different angles he has to try to defend. It's going to be Tycon just trying to use numbers advantage, walking right and goes for the spray, picks it up, and there you go. We got ourselves a Cerberus victory to start the day.
What a start. What a finish for Cerberus. Just clean up from the southeast side.